We are live. This is the Week in Review Market Update. I am your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, stay with us. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live through Discord. And if the content works for you, don't forget to check out the feedback form down below in the description. All right, we have Alexandra. First on the stream, coming in from Europe. Miklo, Banks 911, welcome. Ian, Dane, Gian, Huber's Ranch, Malik, welcome. Tanya, hello. All right, we have Malik and Mackenzie. Ian, Lee, hello. Dane, Boise, Brandon, what's going on? Ian says, we need a picture of what is happening. Well, sir, you came to the right place. You came to the right place. All right. Let's begin with sort of like a week in review that I'm going to do as a monologue. This is like a hyper screen share type of thing we do. But I know that in past, we liked, just a fireside chat. So what happened this week? Well, how about epic FOMO? You had money pouring into the Bitcoin ETF and the Bitcoin futures contracts in legacy. So you're like, Bill, what does that mean? That means that traditional investors and people like BlackRock and people who do business through BlackRock poured huge amounts of money into Bitcoin through those ETF products. They're also getting involved and buying, Bitcoin futures contracts, just like oil or soybean futures contracts. They've been around forever. The ETF is new. Now, you may be wondering, because I did, I'm like, gee, how can we have all this volume, like massive amounts of volume, like 600 million in inflows in one day, right? And Bitcoin couldn't make a new high. I mean, gold made a new high, and gold is a rock. Stocks made a new high, and how long can they possibly buy all that old news? That was my initial attitude. Okay, you had 917 billion go into the Bitcoin ETF this week. And you did not make a new high. Now, of course, legacy investors are, just from a common sense point of view, moving money most likely from stocks and bonds over into Bitcoin. So to us, it's like, oh my God, the volume is huge. Yeah, it is huge. But, when you consider all the amount of money floating around in legacy, when you consider that, legacy has multiple companies worth $3 trillion, it's a lot, but it's not enough to create a God candle, especially when you have undoubtedly Uncle Sugar selling, right? The government has been suppressing Bitcoin, in my opinion, right? Because somebody is selling into all this. And, you may have miners or some seller that we can't see that kind of held it all back. Now, when you look at this head-scratching puzzle of like, yes, everyone wants Bitcoin, but it can't make a new high. When you look at this, you go, all right, what is causing that? Well, guess what? In the week in review, as is like the second week in a row, the thing to be reviewed was the thing that happened on Friday, which was the bond market and the payroll number. So, as I'm sure most people know, job growth in the United States has been effectively zero for at least 12 months, if not longer. Now, naturally, the statistics don't report that because, telling the truth is clearly optional in any sovereign enterprise these days. That includes any country, any party. Okay. And then today, the payroll number really was terrible, right? It was like, government jobs only and private sector jobs fell 12,000. So, you had the worst jobs number since like COVID. Now, when you get a bad job number, what should happen? I'll tell you. You should have interest rates go down, bonds go up, right? And when interest rates go down, Bitcoin should go up and gold should go up. So what happened today? Well, bonds went up, but then it was the failed rally. Now I'm always saying in certain parts in crypto, certain key junctures, beware the failed rally. Oh my goodness. Bonds failed. Bonds, we'll go over it in the PowerPoint. Bonds went down all day. So economic growth was terrible and interest rates went up anyway because everybody said, you know what? We're done with the United States. We're done with the sovereign debt. We're done. In other words, for anybody who regularly watches the show, Kamala Harris fans will be happy about this because I'm always talking about the capital markets friendly outcome. Because up until today, it's been assumed almost to an absurd degree that Trump was the capital markets friendly outcome, right? And, over the last 4 days, everyone was like, oh, let's do the Trump trade. Trump's going to win. Therefore, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and it's going to be great. It's never easy. It's never easy. Okay. And then what's happened is all this talk about getting rid of the income tax. Okay. All this talk about tariffs is inflationary. In other words, I got to make a decision. Like I got a laptop sitting on my desk here. I got to be like, wow, do I have to go out and like pinch the budget to get a new laptop while it's $300 on sale before I turn around in 3 months and it's back to full price plus $300 from a tariff? Like the bond market's like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. You guys want to have less revenue and raise prices on everybody. Bond market's like, no, I don't think so. Right. And this is a classic bond market thing. Like bond markets send politicians message. And in this case, the bond market is like, we don't like this because they gave the bond market everything it could have wanted today. Like layoffs, like terrible job numbers. Bond market just goes up, straight down. Interest rates went up all day. Now, of course, the stock market loves it because everything in stocks is always bullish. Everything's great. They're like, oh, look, it's terrible in bonds. Let's buy stocks. It's sunny. Let's buy stocks. It's rainy. Let's buy stocks. Their first reaction is always to buy, but the first reaction is always wrong. Like, are you going to come in on Sunday night and have a bond market problem and possibly have a dip in the market? You could have a dip in equities. I would imagine altcoins are not really going to like this, but you know what? In a way, it kind of makes me happy because this will instill some level of discipline, right? Everybody thought it was easy in Bitcoin. I've been talking about 100 and I had a colleague that's talking about 125 in March. Those targets are not only consensus, but they're now too low. People got too bullish. Want to know what happened this week? People got too bullish. Like rarely do I say, uh-oh. Like I got a really good friend who watches my shows. He was like, I need a 10X. I need you to give me a coin on Coinbase that's going to 10X. And I was like, oh no, dude. Oh no. I gave him DGen, right? Because, social media, decentralized social media will come back. But people got too bullish. Then they had to look at something that they didn't think they were going to have to look at, which is a complete 180 in the market's perception of a capital markets friendly outcome. In other words, as of now, Trump is not bond market friendly. Every time Trump opens his mouth about the economy, most likely the bond market's going to go down and rates are going to go up. That's what's going to happen. Period. So, it's almost like the Fed is hiking rates with this price action. The good news for crypto is this creates the dip, right? In other words, think about the narrative. Everybody goes, oh my God, the bond market. Oh my God, the stock market. And everybody who was like, oh my God, it's going up forever. Now, if this goes on for like one more day, you're going to have people saying, oh yeah, it's going back to 63. Bitcoin's going to go down. Bitcoin might dip one more time or two more times. I don't think we should get too excited about it in crypto. But the capital markets friendly outcome has changed for the moment. And that could give you you could get cheaper prices in altcoins. Like you could get a dip in Solana, right? You could get a wick down in either Bitcoin or other big alts. Like a Sunday night flush, like, oh my God, the bond market. That is very possible. You could also do it tomorrow. All right, but this is the week in review. Now, there has been a regulatory development of sorts. There was a Reuters article showing that, no matter what happens in the election, crypto will do better. I mean, Gensler is still out there suing people. They gave a Wells notice to IMX, a gaming company. Really? Wow. You got to watch out for those play to earn guys, man. They'll just blow up the whole system. Come on. Right? The crypto-friendly outcome is an end of regulatory capture. And the only guy who knows how to do that, if you're asking me, is Kennedy, right? Who's now with the orange man. But the real capital markets friendly outcome for crypto anyway isn't who's in the White House. It's who cleans house in these agencies like FDA and SEC. Okay. Now, a final note on crypto. I saw we had FWOG get to a 300 million market cap. The MicroStrategy meme coin that I was playing around with got to I think it hit 50 million market cap today. You had huge MicroStrategy FOMO this week. So not only did you have everyone piling into Bitcoin, but Michael Saylor was a god. MicroStrategy was the god stock. Conveniently, Michael Saylor is like, yeah, I'm selling my stock. Thank you. I'm going to sell $21 billion worth of it so I can buy more Bitcoin on the dip. But Michael Saylor was a god this week. MicroStrategy flipped Coinbase in market cap this week. That's like the old flippening joke. Well, of course, back then it wasn't a joke. It was consensus that, of course, Ethereum is going to have a bigger market cap than Bitcoin. And I got to be honest with you. I was working for an altcoin shop back then. I was even drinking that Kool-Aid. This is a warning. If something becomes consensus, it's wrong. Or the market goes the other way just to flush people out. I mean, the capital markets friendly outcome changed in 24 hours. And Bitcoin's price reflected it, right? And I don't know how much downside you could get in altcoins, between now and the election if the bond market is freaked out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, now the good news is, again, we'll go over the charts. I think, just to complete the monologue, that this is going to wash people out. It's going to scare people because it's not just the bond market, right? It's this whole thing with the election. I can't talk about it on any social media platform. For anybody who didn't watch the shows this week, I tried to do a TikTok video about altcoins that just mentioned the word election, and TikTok put something on my video that said, for more information on the U.S. election, click here. And the link essentially went nowhere. In other words, take the video down. You got people waiting in Pennsylvania 6 hours in Trump-specific districts. Conveniently, there's no election staff. So this election is going to be close, people. I mean, it's going to be close. It is. Now, you can say, well, this is not fair and that's not right. And everybody can point fingers. It's going to be close. And the market is not counting on that. Crypto has been looking at these betting markets going, oh, a 60% chance the guy whose sole purpose is to pump my bags is going to come into power. Oh, please. That's not how it works. And I'm telling you right now, even if it does pump your bags, you're going to live with volatility first. But that's okay if you're ready for it. So you watch the show, so you're ready for it. And we're going to explain the whole thing. So that is, I don't know, that's your 15-minute week in review. All right. Now, I can't control myself. We have to get to the news and the charts because, I got to talk about what's going to happen next, what's going to happen now. Okay. So here's Reuters trying to tell us that the U.S. crypto industry expects friendlier Washington no matter who wins. Just as a reminder, Gensler was supposed to be friendly. I actually think Gensler may have come in under Trump. Gensler was supposed to be a breath of fresh air. He was a blockchain professor at MIT. Yeah, okay. Well, not the fear, folks. The SEC is owned by Jamie Dimon and Wall Street. So that's who he takes his orders from. Yeah, these guys need to go. Now, here is your payroll number. Okay, private payrolls were supposed to be up 70,000. They were down 28. If it wasn't for government jobs, it would have been the first negative payroll month since December of 2020. In other words, layoffs are here, right? Layoffs are here. It's terrible, right? Layoffs are here. The Fed's got to cut rates. And I don't know if the Fed can cut rates if the bond market is hysterical. I mean, they can try. They probably should. But this makes it very weird for them, right? Like, they cut rates. Interest rates could actually go up more. They're like, wow, you're going to give us more sugar, more stimulus? So, this could scare Bitcoin a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Because it just, look, it changed intraday, right? So at noon, investors load up on bonds and Bitcoin ahead of the election. Rates rampage, bonds collapse. 4 hours later, rates rampage, bonds collapse. Bonds up, bonds down. Whoops. Not a capital markets friendly outcome. Not anymore. Now, of course, he's got an advisor from Soros, so they will do some sort of course correction. They will not be bringing up this income tax thing. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be one word about it. Not one. Okay, so we're deploying the B-52 stealth bomber to the Middle East. I mean, will they ever stop? It's amazing. Like, I know these things are so hotly contested in these regions, but, do we need the stealth bomber out there? Like, is that going to help? All right. Now, speaking of consensus, so October sees Bitcoin go up 11%. Yeah, while the whole rest of the market gets wrecked, except for, I don't know, like Solana, Radium, Jupiter, and 2 real-world asset plays, and certain memes. Otherwise, it was not October. It was not. It was October for Bitcoin at the expense of large chunks of the market. And once everybody was like, oh my God, 74K Bitcoin, the market immediately comes off. And this has been the story all year, and it makes people depressed. So the message today is, whatever you do, don't get depressed. It's just election volatility, and the bond market is great because it ensures discipline. In other words, or said differently, which is what I like, You know how I'm always saying the only way out of a debt crisis is to devalue a currency? That's just what the economics book says. So, debt crisis, dollar lower, Bitcoin up. That's 2025 right there. Is your 2025 preview wrapped into your weekend review. Now, $36 trillion in debt is a debt crisis, but it's not a crisis until the bonds of the people issuing the debt go up. You know what? See ya. No, we're not doing this anymore. The debt crisis is the bond market falling apart. So the bond market will fall apart, and then everybody will get scared. Then the dollar will start falling apart. Then it's time for Bitcoin or Ethereum or the whole thing, right? Real world assets. I think, that's going to be a huge theme if the system is going to start rocking. But that's going to make it, a little scary for people, but it's okay because we need to purge all the FOMO. SUI token goes to 2, 3 next. Okay, I like the sentiment. I did think SUI was going to do what Solana did last year, and it still might after they shake the tree out first. Okay, crypto reverses early gains. So again, beware the failed rally because the orange man wants to eliminate the income tax and the bond market doesn't like it. I mean, there is nothing like you read a chart book, page 10. If something bullish comes out and the market fails and goes down, that's bad. You could close the book. That's the only thing you knew, or vice versa. Something goes on and the market goes down, but then it comes back. They buy the bad news. That's great. So, if you missed it and you thought the market was going to rocket higher without you, I still think it's by the fact. Everyone's like, well, it's going to go to the moon and we're all going to sell in the election and it's going to be very tidy. Everyone likes it tidy. It's never tidy. It's never tidy. Everyone's like, I'm long the Trump trade the day before the election. Ugh, I'm stopped out. Or I'm selling. Or I'm getting short. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got guys calling me up now wanting to get short. I'm like, oh, people, please. 10x on Monday, short on Friday. This is what this range does. It lowers your IQ. It lowers your emotional bandwidth. Everyone just take it easy, right? If you have a bond market problem, you'll have a 1 week or 2 week bond market problem. And then you'll have a dollar problem. This is what you're going to have. You're going to have a dollar problem eventually. Okay, so Income Charts is showing you a chart of Solana, reminding you that, you're late. I love this is everywhere in crypto. Everybody thinks they're early, which sometimes is true, but there's always somebody to tell you, oh, it's too late. Oh, you missed it all. It's too late. You're never too late. You're never too late. You're never too early. You're right on time. Okay. There's always a bull market somewhere. This is a chart of Solana. Maybe Solana takes 6 months to go to 400. Okay. Maybe it won't be easy street like this because, this was a venture capital liquidity pump, and this was a complete mispricing of Solana being unwound thanks to the meme craze. Nobody's late, and no one is, it's not first inning, right? But it's still early, I think. Now, this guy is noting that saying that you're early is not something that you say to rationalize FOMO trades, and that's true. If you're saying I'm early, you better understand the narrative, like the real world asset narrative, like low cap AI plays. Those are examples, right? In other words, you're going to say, hey, this AI meme coin thing may have another leg, right? That's, like GOAT was way early. Now that stuff's going to correct. It's not like, it's not like you're coming in and buying, Doge or Bonk when it's top 5. Just as an example, right? Okay, so $250 million of liquidations, which is the news article after we talk about how much money flowed into BlackRock. I think the BlackRock story is that, people are trying to get away from legacy assets, and crypto ninnies are so determined to trade leveraged inside of a range that they're going to lose all their money by the time this is said and done. They're not going to have any capital to buy a dip. Can you imagine if you got a wick down to 65 on some stupid thing over the weekend? Oh my goodness. That would be opportune. Oh my God. I love this. These guys are great. Watcher Guru. They're great because I think they invented this. Bitcoin goes above 71. Bitcoin used to move like 10, 15% at a time. Now it's like, oh, Bitcoin's at 71. Oh my God, Bitcoin's at 70. Oh my God, Bitcoin's below 70. Dude, this really hasn't gone anywhere. It's been in a range for 6 months. And they show this candle. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, this is like making you hysterical about nothing. I mean, the bond market falling apart on good bond market news is not nothing. It's something, but it's a huge opportunity, not a giant red fake candle. Okay, so you know what scares me? I'm going to be honest with you. You know what scares me is that the SEC is acting like they're still going to have a job. These guys are out issuing Wells notices, and they're suing people, and they're on the tape. And like, what are you guys doing? Like, my hope and prayer is that you go away. This is the under-discussed election topic. It's like, dude, go away. Leave us alone. The crypto jobs are all overseas. Like, there are no crypto jobs in the United States. Or there are no crypto jobs in the United States compared to what there could be. I mean, can you imagine if we were the Silicon Valley of crypto? What are we doing? Making everyone go to Switzerland? I've always wanted to go. But I don't think you got to have everybody in crypto in Switzerland and Dubai. That doesn't make any sense at all. Like, you could have a cool hubs over there, but you don't want to have nobody over here because they got to go over there. That's insane. Kennedy said that. Okay. Oh, 6-hour waiting line in Republican neighborhoods in Pennsylvania. Basically, Pennsylvania is the key to the election. For anybody watching in Asia, American elections do not win on the national popular vote. It's based on which candidates win the popular vote in each state. And some states are more important than others. That's how it works. Okay. Conveniently, in the state that is the closest, that has record turnout this year, because that's where Elon was, that's where Trump got shot, it's Pennsylvania, right? Known for, I don't know, steel mills and football. Really, it's not the most exciting American state. I'm from New Jersey, so I really can't talk. I now live in Texas. Texas is very exciting, but Pennsylvania is where it's going to be decided. That's the consensus, and that's probably true. If it's tied, it comes down to Pennsylvania. But you have to wait 6 hours to vote. And as my producer pointed out before the show, that could discourage the elderly from voting, right? Okay, so slowly but surely, after we were sued, the FDIC started giving us information, right? Basically telling banks not to do business with crypto people. So it's official, like everything else, right? The conspiracy is actually true. Like, I don't know. To me, there is no such thing as a conspiracy anymore. It's just like, oh, yeah, it's like they're doing everything out in the open. So we need a regulatory shift. Bitcoin now has many users as the internet did in 1997. I remember that market. You are still early. What you're early to is a new form of money. And the bond market gave you a perfect example today. This should show bond market goes down. Stan Druckenmiller, a major ex-Soros hedge fund manager who has never had a down year, never, is short U.S. Treasury bonds, betting on a massive government irresponsibility trade, which is happening now, which I would have thought would have been in the dollar. But, hey, Stan is Stan for a reason, right? For a reason. Elon Musk has got problems, I think, win or lose. He's got to become a government employee. So if something bad happens to him, he has the government, like the government law enforcement and Department of Justice, looking out for him. He spent $119 million on Trump. I can't imagine what happens if he loses to Elon. Like, it's a pretty big bet. Kentucky County Clerk confirms voting booth switched his vote when he printed the ticket. So when I voted on a screen, the ticket printed, and then just because I'm a boomer, I went up to a guy and said, "This is who I voted for, right? These two guys, this is what I voted for, right?" He's like, "Right." Then I handed it in. As we say out here, God bless Texas. But I'm sure it's occurring everywhere, right? In a hotly contested fight, intelligence services from all over the world will intervene. They do it in every election. There's cheating in every election. There is. Now, how much of there is, I don't know. But I can tell you this, it's going to be close. And this market is not going to be easy. It's not. You may not know who wins for like 3 days. That has not dawned on the market. It has not. Several things may dawn on the market this weekend as the legacy media ponders what this bond market did. Again, this winds up a huge crypto opportunity. Meanwhile, in the land of altcoins, we march on. UBS launches a tokenized fund on Ethereum, right? Franklin Templeton launched on Base. Central Bank of Argentina reveals its Bitcoin mining equipment. 21 Shares files for a XRP ETF, which could be kind of like a shocking thing, right? If XRP winds up the third ETF instead of Solana, and then XRP starts getting used as money. Now, there's one thing the XRP, the Doge, maybe the Pepe narrative, and even stuff that nobody wants to talk about, like Bitcoin Cash. What happens if that stuff becomes money in 2025? And of course, there's always Ethereum, which again has become the new Cardano. I don't think it makes sense, but how hard can I protest it? Right? Tether announces a stable coin on TON. Everybody's got a stable coin everywhere. Ethereum futures are bullish, and then it's bearish because Vitalik has to get the inefficiencies out of Ethereum. That's what happens when somebody has competition, right? Like Vitalik is going to make Ethereum better than ever. His hair's all probably going to fall out, but, he's going to make it better. He has to. Or everyone's going to go trade meme coins on Solana, and Web3 dies with that. Because meme coins on Solana is not Web3. In case you're wondering, Joe Rogan getting censored by Google, we need Web3. We need it. It's got to be an organic alternative. These guys just can't shut off something that big. They just didn't want it to go to 100 million views. So hopefully Vitalik gets it together, right? Okay. Now, this I think is bullish. So mathematical forecasting, peak Bitcoin price for the next bull cycle. So, this is, and these guys, it's good research, right? People love it. People like to see it. They go through all these charts and basically they come up with this idea that, Bitcoin could go to 250,000 or 200,000 by, the end of next year. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, that's nice. You know what? You know what they don't have in here? A dollar chart. They don't have a dollar chart. They're just like Bitcoin just goes there. I don't know, because of some magical FOMO, right? Like, oh my God, my bags magically levitate to the upside. Dude, if you have Bitcoin at $200,000, you have a serious problem out there in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have problems. I don't know, food prices, government debt. The thing that people have not figured out, and I haven't said this really anywhere else. I haven't done it on the morning show. I'm trying to like maybe make the Friday show a little different. But has it occurred to anyone that it doesn't feel like the left is trying to lose the election on purpose? Like, they have the social advantage. They have the social issues and women's issues on their side. But it feels like they keep setting up the current candidate. They keep setting up Harris to fail by putting her in interviews and town halls and having her do all these things that she obviously can't do. So either pick the wrong person, or they keep putting the current person in a position where she can't succeed. Maybe she just could have talked to Rogan for 3 hours about baseball. I don't know. But it's like they're not trying. Like this garbage remark. I mean, I know the Republicans said something stupid at the convention, but I mean, this comment, I don't know, it's got Trump driving around in a garbage truck for 3 days with all the blue collar workers cheering. I mean, that's going to make people motivated to stand in line to vote for 6 hours. It's like they're trying to lose on purpose. Now, why do I say that? Well, if they're trying to lose on purpose, as crazy as that sounds, are they trying to leave Trump with like this huge, giant economic crisis bag? Like the government debt bag, the bank debt bag. These things exist, right? We talk about them all the time. It's all over Twitter. Just we don't trade it. And of course, no one thinks it's ever going to affect their bags. Dude, it's going to affect your bags. It's going to affect your life. If Bitcoin's at 200K, you're going to have a massively different foreign exchange regime. You may have massively lower equities prices. You could have a 40% correction in stocks, no problem, if Bitcoin's at 200,000, because you have a crisis. So I'm just saying, 200,000 Bitcoin is great. Now, what I also think is stupid is this whole idea of, Bitcoin goes all the way up to 200,000 and then does a retracement to 50K. I don't know about that. I'm thinking this maybe is a little bit more of a sustained move rather than a move to 200, right? If it's pump and dump, yeah, okay, maybe it's 200. But if it's like a gradual sustained thing, as like the world order changes, this analysis is interesting, but it's not applicable. Like if Bitcoin decouples from legacy markets and altcoins decouple from Bitcoin, is what my colleague has been telling people for a year or more. And it literally is happening right before our eyes. Okay. Clean Spark Miner. Mining technology gets better every day. The MicroStrategy FOMO this week is an important reminder that the only way to get massive amounts of Bitcoin is to get a Bitcoin miner, MicroStrategy, Coinbase, or some company that's been accumulating Bitcoin when it's relatively low. Like sub 80, anybody who's got a big Bitcoin position sub 80 is a takeover candidate at 150. Financial services firms and wealth managers discover Bitcoin at the high, of course. Gee, maybe we should buy this. No, we shouldn't buy it at 48. No, we don't want to do that. We want to buy it at 74 because it's much more attractive. This is the stock people think, right? Like, oh, yeah, what's up? Oh, yeah, let's get some of that. That's how they do these things. Okay. Let's see who else is here. Gian says, I live in PA, and sir, we love you for being a big fan of the show. Folks, it all comes down to what goes on in Pennsylvania. Like, if you said to me, what's the most important thing what's the most memorable thing to you about Pennsylvania? There's the fact that, Philadelphia was the city where the Declaration of Independence came from. Rocky Balboa, the boxer from the movies, is from Philly. And I always think of Pennsylvania State University, called Penn State. It's just an unbelievably huge school. It is. It's epic. It was very famous growing up for a lot of reasons. Okay, some hot news coming in. See what we got. Huge dip in Harry Potter Obama Sonic Inu. Whoops. Gee, you mean they took a meme coin and pumped it and then listed it on a centralized exchange so that whales could dump it? What? Hey, people, let me tell you something. All creatures in nature are both predator and prey, right? Like, in jungle movies or Jurassic Park, you're walking around looking for something to eat. Something else is looking around for you. So just be careful out there in meme coins. Here's the Harry Potter chart. Up only, centralized exchange listing. Boom. Now, in meme coins, it has paid to buy meme coins down either 40 or 70%. So again, 70% down in Harry Potter from the top. If that happened, that would kind of wash everyone out. 40% down. It's basically 40% down right now. Those are just levels I like to watch, right? Ron Paul, who has been considered, I don't know. Ron Paul has been considered his own man and kind of a weirdo for a really long time. Now all of his ideas are mainstream and he wants to get with Elon and cut spending. Now they have to cut spending, right? I mean, you want to hear some good news? 42 minutes into the stream, let me give you some really good news. This bond market reaction absolutely guarantees that they are going to smash the government budget. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be shocked if Trump was out with that tomorrow morning. If I was running Trump's economic advisory teams, I would be like, get Elon and get Ron Paul out there saying, we are going to crush government spending to slow this bond market down, right? Because the bond market will like that. And this is like the 80s and the 90s where politicians, like if the bond market, they used to call them the vigilantes, for real. I used to be one. I used to work in the bond market in the 80s and the 90s. In the 90s, rather, excuse me. Right? We don't like what you're saying? We'll make you change your mind. Trust me. Same thing now. They're going to have to put these guys out front. Now, what does that mean? That's going to mean eventually lower economic growth, rate cuts. You probably will have higher prices with the tariffs, but you slash $2 trillion in government spending. People, that's a lot. That's a lot of economic purchasing power that they're just like, it's like they're shutting off the printer. That's dollar lower, rates lower, Bitcoin massively higher. Massively higher. Like if you don't like these guys, well, then you best start learning. You know what I'm saying? Like what's good for your bags is a reduction in government spending, in my opinion, and lower rates. That's a must. Because if you have a bond market that is doing what it's doing now, that's not going to work out good, folks. It's not. And capital markets, like I said, what is and what is not capital markets friendly just changed. For better or for worse. Okay, PowerPoint. Okay, so going over what happened with the bond market. Again, don't want to make too much out of any one day, but that's the 15-minute chart of the interest rate on the 30-year bond, which is connected to the 30-year mortgage rate. Think of it that way. First, it was like, oh my God, the payroll number is terrible. The Fed has to cut rates. We'll go to 4.4%. And then by the end of the day, it was at 4.58%, which is a big move in long-term interest rates. So that's what happened today. TLT is the long bond ETF. It's done nothing but go down since Stan Druckenmiller announced that he was getting short. Bonds have done nothing but go down and rates have gone up because they're afraid of like anything that pro-growth that Trump's talking about and the tariffs. They hate that. Now, again, as we discussed earlier, this is a forward-looking chart. The daily chart of the bond market, this payroll number was terrible, and Lux Algo is saying bond yields could go from 458 to 480, which means you could have a flash crash in bonds. If you have a flash crash in bonds, you could have a flash crash in stocks, and that could affect crypto. And I'm just telling you right now, this was not on my bingo card, but I did think this was going to be close and complicated. So if you get some sort of stupid move in the bond market, it'll eventually get unwound because Elon's going to cut spending. But if you got some stupid move in the bond market or equities got freaked out, oh my God, that's the dip, man. That's the dip. You got to shop on that dip. All right. So sentiment and the capital markets friendly outcome. So the capital markets friendly outcome temporarily changed. And this was in the YouTube influencer chat room. I think we got too bullish. A pumpkin, a Pac-Man pumpkin with laser eyes with a Bitcoin on it. You know, that's never good. What do I always say? When you have a lampshade on your head and you're partying, you're drinking out of a champagne bottle, put the bottle down and sell. Or wait. Okay, just another reminder. Bullish sentiment in stocks, as reported earlier this week, all-time high. This survey goes back to 1987. People have never been more bullish stocks than they are right now. That's not bullish. That's a recipe for, oh my God. Okay, S&P monthly chart running into an automated Lux Algo resistance level. This is not going any higher. On a daily chart, S&P, went up and kind of failed. It's sitting on support. It's not good. It's not bad, but this bearish divergence is bad. They cracked this support, this thing where stocks made new high, but the oscillator made new, lower highs. That's bearish. You could blow this thing out. Gold. Overdone. Higher interest rates are not good for gold. Everyone in the world is bullish gold. Everybody thinks it's going higher. I'm fine with gold, but I think you're better off in Bitcoin. The FOMO in this is absurd. Right into a Lux Algo premium zone on a monthly chart. I'm like, I'm not buying it here. I'm just not. I'm not buying anything into the premium zone. Right? This is gold on a daily chart. Same thing, right? Automated Lux Algo trend line right into premium zone. You got this X top signal. You got this other. It's every top signal in the world in gold, including the bearish divergence. I mean, they could blow this out. Right now, unfortunately, Bitcoin is in the same situation. IBIT is the Bitcoin ETF. I didn't realize this, but it actually did get to its premium zone. There is bearish divergence, and there are these topping signals. So you know what? They could flash crash crypto. They could flash crash it, right? Everybody's bullish. Everybody's doing a Trump trade, right? I can make fun of this stuff now. Doesn't matter who you like. This whole idea of, the media, you say the media was like, oh yeah, let's do the Trump trade and Cointelegraph. Oh my God. Let me sell everything and hide under the desk. You people, holy cow. When has the media ever been right about anything? Okay, Bitcoin on a 90-minute chart. The good news is, we're probably at the end of the decline. Just the question is, are they going to do a wick down first? That's all. This should be it, right? If they're just going to do one thing on Sunday or Saturday night, that's me being optimistic. Now, if you want to return back to being optimistic, Bitcoin looks a lot like it did back in October of last year from a DeMark point of view. It's like, this is a weekly chart. You know, Bitcoin's been grinding higher for like 6 weeks. Similar thing happened in October and September. You could have a fantastic Santa rally this year, right? You just buy the election volatility and then just sit there and watch it go around the end of the year or even earlier, right? It's like, I just call it buy the fact, right? If the bond market gives you the chance and the stock market gives you the chance, I say get involved. Okay. You know, and just in case you think that people don't understand what's going to happen here with the dollar. You know, BlackRock bought another 318 million worth of Bitcoin while everyone was selling. Big portfolio managers are allocating money out of stocks and into Bitcoin. It's literally like a parking lot for money. And Solana has passed ETH in DEX volume for October. Okay. That's also like the final reminder. There has to be more to the market than memes. There has to be. And Dan is right. Bitcoin's days under 60 are numbered. Its days under 70 could be numbered. I agree. That's why I want to get the flash event. Like, if you get anything hysterical in stocks or bonds, that's an opportunity, right? Yes, we can look at the whiff chart. Project 89, I have not heard of. I would have to look at that. Let's look at the whiff chart. Okay, here comes the whiff chart. Okay. So moving to like a daily picture. You know, the thing that's funny about whiff is, you know, these Luxalgo sell signals have not worked the last 2 times. It remains to be seen. Whiff got to its equilibrium point and just stopped. So whiff isn't cheap. Whiff isn't expensive. Whiff is like neutral. I continue to believe in these major meme coins that you're looking at something that looks like this. Or some type of teacup and handle formation, possibly. My co-host calls it the pimples getting ready to pop. Normally, when you have these cup and handles, the handle is awful. You get chopped to pieces. That seems to be what's happening. Now, normally when you have a Head and Shoulders bottom or something like this, like teacup and handle, your upside target is normally this distance from the point of the breakout. Okay. So, you know, whiff, you could talk about $4 as a longer term target. I don't see any reason to back off. I don't. The bond market gives you an opportunity, take it. I think the best example of a lot of things was in Doge, because Doge got hot, right? Doge got hot on the whole Elon thing. It went up kind of a lot. right? For Doge. And then it came off hard. I'm going to have to type it in. Let me see. Okay, here it is. So here's your shoulder, your head, and your shoulder in Doge. You break the neckline. You return to the neckline, right? And then you move this distance from the point of the breakout. Boom. Doge gets to its target at 17 cents and then comes off. And it comes back to equilibrium, which is good because it may be a good dip to buy for a move to the premium zone at 17 cents. But I think the whole rest of the market is good. This formation is in so many places, I can't even draw it all. So, I mean, that's how I want that to work. So Mo is saying if there's a stock or a bond market problem, so if there is a problem, it'll be like 1 day or 1 week. It's not going to be the end. It'll probably just scare people. And what has it paid you to do every single time this year when it gets scary? What has it paid to do? Shopping. Seriously, right? Bonds are scary. Geopolitics are scary. Every time it's scary, shop. And then one day, post-election, and when Santa comes to town, you're going to understand the only way out of a debt crisis is to devalue the currency. The only way to really devalue the US dollar is versus gold and Bitcoin, which means your bags will go up, but the bottom will be scary. Everyone's like, oh, this is going to be so easy. It's never easy. If you remember that, you won't get scared. And even if it's over today, you might be like, maybe we got to take a look at some stuff. Take a look. All right, people, we will see you on Monday.